program this morning. I'm reading from Hebrews chapter 4 in verse number 16. Let us therefore come boldly under the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. That's the scripture that we have been using as our text. So come boldly to the throne of grace that you may find mercy. And remember, our subject has been creating free energy. We're trying to say that every young person need to learn what it means to create free energy. That is what makes you different. Without that, you'll find that at a particular time, whatever you have, the grace that you have is not sufficient to carry you. Because life is full of challenges. Like Job said in chapter 14 verse 1, he said, man that is born of woman is of few days and full of troubles. You may have reached a particular level in life, and if you do not have free energy, you find that you lose what you already have. And last week we're talking about righteousness as a free energy. And righteousness is not, we're talking about positional righteousness, because you're born again, the Lord has imputed on you righteousness. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you do, practically what you do. Righteousness in both the Old and the New Testament refers primarily to what you do. So when it talks about the righteousness of God in Christ, it's talking about what Christ has already done. So it's not an assumption, it's reality. Now let's get to the thought today. We want to continue with the same streams of thought, but let me tell you a short story about three boys. There was an old man that was living in a mansion, and it seemed like he was living there alone. Every morning, the young man, the old man rather, will come out. Very old man, he will come out, exercise himself by using a long broom stick to sweep off the environment. He does that regularly. That was his exercise. You know, at a particular age, there are things that you cannot do, jogging and those kind of aerobic exercises may not be possible for some people, but there are other kinds of exercises you can do. So this man was using that as his exercises every day. However, every morning when he comes out, he will see three boys. One will pass, the other one will pass, the other one. He noticed that there were three children, three boys, male children, that will be walking through that route. They will go, and if he ever comes out towards the late afternoon, he will still see them coming back on foot. And the other thing is that they were unkept. One day he called the first boy and said, my son, come, I want to send you on an errand. The boy told him, am I your servant that you are going to send me on an errand? The boy snubbed him and walked away. The old man shook his head. When you see these boys, they are looking unkept, and the man knew that they were all from very poor families. But one of the things he loved about them was that they were determined going to school in spite of the poverty of the parents. It's not like today that school is free. Then school was costly. You have to pay. Now, he called the second boy. He said, my son, come. And the boy was obedient enough. He said, look, I want to send you on an errand. Remember, they were going to school. I want to send you on an errand. The boy said, what is it, sir? He said, just hold on for me. So he went into his house and brought an envelope and gave to the boy. And he told him where he was going to take that envelope to. Remember, they were going to school. And the boy looked at him and said, yes, sir. He said, but I'm going to school. I will do it after school. He said, do it now. It was somehow the boy agreed and decided to go. But as he was going, he thought within himself, what is inside this envelope? And being an inquisitive child, he opened the envelope and saw that it was money. And the boy began to struggle. The money was up to 150,000 naira. It's not yesterday. I'm not talking about something that happened yesterday, day before yesterday. I'm talking about things that happened several years ago, a long time ago, more than 30 years ago. So the boy looked at the money and thoughts entered into his heart. He went and never returned. To cut a long story short. And the elderly man waited, he didn't come back. He didn't complain, he didn't say anything. Here comes the third boy. And he called the third child and said, "Come, I want to send you on an errand." And the boy said, "Sir, I'm going to school. When I come back, I will come." He said, "I wanted to do it now." And somehow the boy also obeyed. He asked him to do one or two things. After that, he told him, "I want to send you on an errand to somewhere." The boy looked at it and said, "Well, it's already late going to school." So the man gave him an envelope. That envelope contained 500,000 naira. And told him, "You go to so and so and so place." Directed him where he was going to go. And the boy took that envelope and traced where the old man sent him to and handed over that envelope to the person that the old man sent him to. When he handed over the envelope, the man looked at the envelope and examined it, turned it upside down. There was no evidence that it was tampered with. So the man told the boy, "Bye-bye," and gave him a little slip and asked him to go and give to the old man. The boy returned, handed over the slip to the old man. The old man looked at him, smiled, told him, "Thank you, my son." He said, "Now before you go to the kitchen, take what you will eat." And the boy went because he was already famished. So he took a little food, took a little food, and ate a little bit of the food that was in the kitchen. And when he wanted to go, the man brought out, then money was having value. If I tell you 5 naira, you'll be wondering, what is 5 naira? Then 5 naira could be like 500 naira. And the man brought out some money and gave to the boy. And told the boy, "Please come back again tomorrow, but after school." So the boy went home and gave to the mother that money that the old man gave to him. Did not spend the money on the way, did not even try to buy sweet or whatever it is. Handed over the money. And the mother was excited. First, the mother reprimanded him and asked him, "Why did you take money from the man?" Anyway, that's a long story. So after he gave the mother the money, the mother went with him to thank the old man. The man told the mother, "Don't worry, but I want this to be my, I want him to be my friend. I want him to be coming to serve me. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, every time the boy closed from school, he will branch to the old man's house, clean up the things that the old man asked him to clean up." But what the boy was wondering was, why is this old man living alone? Because they have not seen anybody living there. Although when you enter the house, you know that this is not a house that the old man like this will be maintaining. There must have been some people maintaining the house, but nobody sees them. This continued over a time, and one day the old man told the boy, "Call your mom for me." So the woman came. After interviewing the woman, that was the only son of the woman, the father was there. So the old man said, "I want your son to live with me. I will take care of everything about him." At the initial time, the woman hesitated. The old man said, "No," gave her instruction, told her that if she wanted to come and stay with the boy to take care of him, it is okay by him, but he wanted that boy to stay with him. Well, since they are not related, the old woman, the mother of the boy, did not think that it was necessary for her to go and stay with the boy. But every day the woman was coming to check on the boy, and the boy gave a good report that the old man was like a grandfather to him, was treating him like a son. After a while, the man died suddenly like that, and the boy was devastated, thinking that they were going to push him out of the house. So when the boy died, some people came around whom the boy thought to be relatives, but not knowing that he was a lawyer. To cut a long story short, all the estate of this man was transferred to the name of this boy. And one of the notes that the boy was given from the old man was that, I've been observing you from the first day that I called you and sent you on an errand, that you have been faithful. And I've tested you in different ways to see if you're going to be faithful to manage my estate. And so you have a scholarship to go through school. All my properties are yours from today. You are my son. You are the beneficiary of my estate. Everything was legally transferred to this boy. The mother was so excited that it was as if she should jump up, dance. But however, the boy became a millionaire. Unknown to them, this man was a multi-millionaire. He had settled all his children. He has taken care of every family member that could be taken care of. And he still had enough. And the plan was that he was going to transfer what he had to somebody that was poor, not a rich person, because his children were already well-to-do. Members of his family that he could touch were already touched. And he felt that he wanted to transfer his estate, whatever it was that was remaining to him, to somebody that was very poor, that had nothing, but only one thing was required. There was only one qualification: faithfulness. And he said he saw that quality in this young orphan, but not an orphan, but fatherless child. A boy that was deprived, a boy that lacked almost everything in life. Faithfulness. Faithfulness is free energy. That's what I am talking to you about this very morning. Faithfulness. Now, one of the problems that young people have is that, like I've said before, they don't deliberately build certain virtues. If you don't build certain virtues, you will never have them. You may think that you have them until you find yourself somewhere and you discover that you do not have them. And so as a young man, in order to secure your tomorrow, your future, one of the things that you need to create for yourself and you need to build upon is faithfulness. When you are faithful, you are creating a free energy. A time will come you need it more than ever before in your life. And there are things that don't just happen accidentally. They don't happen by the way. They don't just happen naturally. They have to be deliberate steps to make them realities. In that book of Luke, St. Luke's Gospel, in chapter 16, let me read from verse 10. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least, notice it's not saying will be, but it says is unjust also in much. In other words, if you are faithful in the least, it means that you are faithful in much, not that you will be. So if you're able to create a free energy on faithfulness, that means that no matter what it is that comes your way, you will be able to manage it. In verse number 11, if therefore you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? Note that I won't have time to deal with verse 11. I'll deal with it some other time. It talks about the unrighteous mammon, money, issues of material things. If you're not faithful, that is how you build yourself. That is how you train yourself. That is how you have the free energy of faithfulness. So when you're dealing with things that are material things, that people can use money for any evil purposes. Money has a lure, money have a temptation, money have a deception. But if you can learn to be faithful with these material things, then you will be faithful in much. Let me come a little bit closer. Now, if you can manage yourself and keep yourself from sexual immorality, because do you realize that it is unfaithfulness that leads people to premarital sex outside of marriage? It is unfaithfulness. You may not be married, but if you have sex before you're married, sex is not meant for men and women. Sex is meant for a husband and a wife. So if you have sex with somebody that is not your husband or your wife, it shows that you have unfaithfulness. Now, in verse 12, if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? Now, that means that you have to learn to build faithfulness. You create free energy by building faithfulness. If you don't train yourself to be faithful, you will never be faithful. Because there are temptations that will draw on you, that will drag you, that will pull you to begin to develop unfaithfulness. And how do you build faithfulness and create a free energy? Deliberately. Number one, you must learn how to keep time. Your faithfulness starts with keeping time. People have been playing with this. We have now got the idea that we are Africans, so if we say that we have an appointment at 10 o'clock, we need to come at 11 or 12. You are already creating unfaithfulness in your life. That is the reason why you see that there are a lot of people that do not know how they became very, very unreliable, undependable, because they, without understanding, have developed an attitude of unfaithfulness by taking certain little things for granted. Remember, he that is faithful in that which is least is also faithful in much. So start from these little things that you can relate with every day. Faithfulness. Try to be a timekeeper, a good timekeeper. Be punctual in anything you are doing, whether it's in school, you are having lectures somewhere, you have an appointment with somebody, whether it's in the office, you're doing business. If your resumption time is 9 o'clock, be there 9 o'clock. If it is 8 o'clock, try to do everything possible. Let it become a habit. Let it become a part of you that you are known to keep time. You are building faithfulness. As a matter of fact, I don't believe to people that do not keep time to extreme. But I will trust a person that builds time. Faithfulness. Once you are faithful, I'm coming. Once you're faithful, you are developing free energy for yourself. Number two, you have to learn to keep little promises. Now, sometimes people just take things for granted, that they will make promises that they know they will not keep. They're not ready to keep the promises, but yet they make it. And you don't start outside, you start inside. You have a family, you have friends. Learn to keep little promises that you make. When you tell them something, try to ensure you're a human being. It is possible that you fail somewhere because you are limited. But let it not be a habit that you say things that you will not do. You make promises that you're not going to keep. So learn to keep little promises. Start from there. At home, with your brother, with your sister, with your dad, with your mom, with your friends, with your relatives, with people around you, with your boss. You promise that you're going to do something, ensure. And let it become known that if you ever fail to do something you promise, it's because it's beyond your ability to do it. Now, the third thing is that you have to learn to keep order. You have to learn to keep order. Be orderly. Don't break rules. This is how to be faithful. Don't break rules. If you want to be faithful, you have to learn not to break rules. When you're given order, you follow it. When there is an order somewhere, don't go and disrupt it. If people are queuing somewhere, don't say you're a smart guy. You're a big boy, so you're not queue. You break the order. Learn to keep order, even at home. You may not be born with it. It may not be native to you to keep things in order. But try to keep things in order even at home. Put the house in order. When you see that things are not in order, try to set them in order. You are building faithfulness. And number 4 thing that will enable you to build faithfulness is loyalty. What does it mean to be loyal? It means to submit to somebody, to be faithful to another person. Now the Lord tells us, if you are not faithful in that which is another man's, who will give you your own? If you are not faithful to what is somebody else's, who will give you what is your own? And if you're not faithful in the unrighteous mammon, how will God commit you the true riches? There are things that are beyond us. Eyes have not seen, the ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man. The things that belong to us, that God has prepared for those that love Him. And if you are not faithful, how will God bring them to you? And the secret is that when you learn to build faithfulness, you become trustworthy. So trustworthiness is free energy. Now, when you are faithful, what results from faithfulness is trustworthiness. So trustworthiness is a free energy. Now the question I ask you now before we are going to pray is, are you trustworthy? What does it mean to be trustworthy? To be worthy of trusting. Can somebody say he is worth trusting? Maybe at school, in your office, in everyday issues. Can somebody see you as somebody that they can trust? Trustworthy.